Hi, this is Casey Clayton, the Cloud Real-Time Solution Specialist with Informatica, and I'd like to walk you through this quick demonstration of our cloud application integration, specifically Informatica Cloud Real-Time Guides for Salesforce. So this is a functionality unique to Informatica Cloud that will actually allow you to render data to your end users in Salesforce without replicating it. So when we talk about the guides for Salesforce, we're really talking about just-in-time data from any API or application database. Now, this is not just the kind of OData sources that you can access with Salesforce Connect, but other APIs or your Oracle database, MySQL, whether it's on-premise or in the cloud. We can show you ways to access that data and render it to an end user. There's a code-free designer that unifies user interfaces, integration, and process automation all under one roof. Allows you to put together things end-to-end. A business process manager or subject matter expert can work and accomplish what used to traditionally require multiple development teams to collaborate on. So this is data on demand from any application without the need to store it within Salesforce. These guides can be run from your console, from the page layout of any record type, as a button, or on a mobile device as a Salesforce One publisher action. So this gives you a simple and secure access to your on-premise data, to your desktop users accessing Salesforce, and even to your reps out in the field. The ability to access linked ERP data, associated with accounts, contacts, and orders can be tremendously valuable. And really, at the end of the day, it's also about decreased training costs. Guides make it easier for people to walk through your multiple systems that are often involved in a Salesforce process. So we're talking about decreased training costs, increased adoption, from the moment of hire and ongoing. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk through a process, a Service Cloud process that's around a call center. So the business event here is a customer is going to call into our service center with some sort of financial inquiry. Now, not all of the data that we necessarily need to respond to this customer is within Salesforce today, but that doesn't necessarily prevent us from keeping our user within Salesforce as they respond. So to walk through the process we have available, somebody calls in, a Service Cloud user answers the phone, and the first step we have is actually to authorize the caller by their account billing zip code. Relatively straightforward step, but we want to make sure that they follow it every time, and that there's some level of enforcement above and beyond just making sure that they've done it. We actually want to be able to audit some of these things. The next step would be we're going to select an existing account contact off of the account. And now, if the person we're speaking to is authorized but doesn't exist as a Salesforce contact, we can actually create a new one or import one even from our legacy database. We have some contact information from an old database that we didn't fully migrate into Salesforce. But no matter what, we want to make sure that we validate the email, phone, and address of any contacts being added to Salesforce. And so we'll do that in real time with calls to some Informatica data as a service offerings, around address validation, email, and phone, and return that data to our user at the moment they're entering it, making sure that they have the opportunity to respond and correct with the user on the phone. So in the next step, we're going to provide a real-time financial summary from NetSuite. So we're actually going to make behind the scenes an API call out to NetSuite to retrieve some key customer data, such as their account balance and days overdue and overdue balance, plus the ability actually to drill in and see in a list of payments, invoices, and orders. But we'll focus on providing the balance here as part of our case resolution process. In the next step, we actually need our reps to work against a current list of financial request codes from operations. So the financial request codes are changing regularly as part of an acquisition, and so there's no time to wait for a Salesforce release for these changes to be updated. So they're not maintained in Salesforce. They were offline on a list before, but now they're they are in a database table, and we're actually going to be able to access this database table, keeping the users in Salesforce without having to leave the account record. And finally, based on that, we're going to automate a few things. We're going to create a case record and actually create a related case task for each of those financial request codes selected, because we want to make sure that every request gets actioned. And so, we have a case and related case tasks for each request. Kind of this is our process in this call center. So let's go ahead and get into the demo. All right, we're going to begin this demo actually right within the Salesforce record that we're going to be working with today. That's going to be the guinea pig. The caller is going to be calling in, related to and asking questions about this account, Fliptoon Ultra. So, got some basic information here. You can see that we have a number on the account, this NetSuite ID, that might help us tie it back to the ERP, but that's pretty much it. There's nothing special about this account. This space here is the guides space. This is actually where this ScreenFlow guide that we're going to create is going to end up. One of the nice things about Informatica Cloud Real-Time is you're able to create and publish process guides that can talk to multiple systems and make them available in this space without requiring a Salesforce release. So it adds a certain level of agility there. The other nice thing is you can actually access the designer if you are a user with the right permission set or profile. You can use the custom tab that's part of the managed package that's included with Informatica Cloud Real-Time that will actually let you access the Informatica Cloud Process Designer right within Salesforce, so you don't have to log into any other system. You can see here this space here is all the Informatica Cloud Process Designer loaded into iframe within a custom tab within Salesforce. We take care of all the authentication behind the scenes, but it's the same interface you'd see if you went in actually through the standard Informatica Cloud browser-based interface. So from here, we're going to jump right into it. We're going to go ahead and create a new guide. Now, a guide tells us that we're going to have some element of user interface involved in our process. That's primarily the difference. Guides have, web pages or Visualforce, or rendered as Visualforce pages that can live within Salesforce that have user interface entry components, can show data to a user from another system to let them make a decision about that data and move on without necessarily storing it in Salesforce. The processes that we have generate REST and SOAP-based endpoints, and we'll talk about that in another session. From here, we want to go ahead and create that financial request process that we saw earlier, from the PowerPoint presentation. And so we're going to start, number one, by going ahead and creating a guide called the financial request process. And here's actually where you would specify, in this case, where this guide is going to appear by saying it's going to be a Salesforce related guide and it's going to appear on or related to the account object. We actually have the ability to show and hide guides based not just on profile and record type, but literally any field on the record or on the user, and we'll show you some of those elements as well. But for now, we're going to say this is related to a Salesforce account, and then we're going to go ahead and say we're going to use this guide to process all financial inquiries and requests. And we'll just say that this is going to be related to Dreamforce and give it that tag there. So now all we need to do is get the process going. We're going to hit OK and get into step one of the process. We will need to create some fields here in a moment representing the connection to our database, and some other values. In fact, we're going to go ahead right now and set up a field for our verification zip, because we're going to need that in the first step of the process. So I'm going to go ahead and put verification zip, and we'll just leave it as a simple text field to make it easy to work with. We're also going to need a field called error message, just in case they do something wrong. And we'll leave it with that for now. We'll hit apply and we'll start building our first step. So you can see here with Informatica Cloud, we actually have a palette of many different step types. There's what we call these screen steps, which allow you to display information from various sources. Create, which will create a record within Salesforce or a database. There's also data decisions, service calls, and various abilities to reuse existing processes and guides that you've already created. But we're going to start off with a simple screen step here, and in this case, we're going to just start typing. We're going to say, welcome to the financial request guide. We'll pretty out up here in a little bit, but right now we're going to focus on functionality. We can go ahead and show some information here actually from the account record, which is easy enough. We can say, all right, the account name. So, here's the account name. And then we can also include information about related objects like the account owner. Let's get the account owner's full name here. So we can go using this insert read-only field. We see all of the fields that are available on the account record, both custom and included standard. And then down here you actually have access to all of the values on related objects, including the owner record. So if we want to go get the owner's full name, or even say the owner's manager's full name, we could go and say here's the account owner, and all their fields will go up even one more level and say owner's manager's full name. And then just put a little label on here for our users: account owner manager name. So, and it's not just read only. You can actually allow the end user to interact with and update fields here as well. Like, let's just go ahead and drop the account rating on the page to make allow the user to determine whether it's hot, cold, or warm as part of this call process while we're on the phone. And now the step actually that's important. Remember, if we go back and take a quick peek at our business process, the first step was to authorize the caller by account billing zip code. So we'll go ahead and do that by asking a question. So please ask customer for their account billing zip code. And we'll go here, and remember that field that we added, that verification zip. I can find it just by typing. All the fields that we've added here appear below the fields that are part of the account. You kind of get the account fields for free by saying this guide's going to run on the account, and then all the things you added are appear here. So here's the verification zip. So we're going to ask that question. And then let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit, make it a little bit prettier. There's a few simple things that you have. You don't want to spend a lot of time, with the UI. Really, this is about the functionality that we're going to get. And so, but we can make bold things here, and we can even, in a real hurry, insert a nice little picture. This is our guide to make money. So there's the information we need. Now let's just go ahead and put the prompt here. This is, enter account zip and we'll just say continue and apply. So we've gone ahead and we've created the first step in our business process. So we've collected this information, really just the verification zip at this point. So let's go ahead and keep going, build out a little decision so we can verify this. Now, checking the values is simple in this case, since it's just right there on the Salesforce record, as putting a data decision step, as we called, in place, and select the field that we want to compare, which is we want to just go ahead and see if the verification zip equals, and we can go ahead and click, here it actually gives us access to all these different fields. We can concatenate a few things, but all we're looking for here is the billing zip off the account, right? The billing zip and postal code. So if this equals the billing postal code, then they've given us the correct value. Otherwise, we've got an issue. So let's go ahead and address the unhappy path real quick. This is the otherwise. And all we want to do here, if it's going down this road, is use what we call an assignment step to populate error message. simple title to make sure that when we show the business person that we're building this for, the process, that they can actually know what's going on. It's one of the nice things is when we're done building this thing, we're actually done. This is not a flow chart we're going to hand over to multiple development teams for implementation. We'll have this thing live in our Salesforce instance. So we're going to go here. We're going to go error message, and we're going to just say quickly account validation zip does not match account billing zip. Easy enough. And we're going to go ahead and hit apply here, and then we'll go and alright, when that's done, we're just going to send them back to the enter the account. So it's simple to put a jump step in place and say enter account zip. That'll send you home here. And now one thing that we want to take a quick look at, actually, we want to include the error message in our guide. So let's just go ahead and drop as a read-only field the error message. And then if we want, we can go ahead and also give it some color. Say the text color, make it red, make it bold so it'll look like a proper error message. And then apply here. So now let's see what this error message that it's asking for. So it's telling us the field of the jump to step cannot be empty. So we need to go and make sure we select enter account zip, and we hit apply, so that cleans up properly. And then we can go ahead and continue with our process. So we've checked the account billing zip. We've set an error message if there's a problem. Now in the very next step, we want to go ahead and allow them to select a contact. So we're going to do that by means of using an embedded guide. That guide, that account contact guide that you saw there on the page, actually allows us to select an account contact, validate it, or even import one from our database. So no need to rebuild that every time we want to have a business process. So we're going to use an embedded guide here. We're going to go ahead and select the guide that we have, which is called our Account Contact Manager Guide. We're going to tell it to run on a single object, on the current object, the account that we're working within. And that's all we really need to define in this circumstance. Here we actually want to go ahead and say let's skip the validation as being required. We can do that. There's different parameters that we can send in. We'll actually leave that out. We'll make sure that you're going to validate any kind of account that we go through here. So we're going to apply that. You can see this account contact manager appears here with this little plus sign letting us know that we have an embedded guide to go off to. We're going to go ahead and save the progress where we're at currently and take a look into the account contact manager guide to see that it actually is its own distinct guide with steps that do things, that look things up in a database, that actually validate along the way. They've got their own user interfaces, that allow you to see this information as it comes in. So the account contact manager is its own useful guide, and we're using it here within this process. So after we've gone ahead and selected the contact, we can continue the process, get some information from NetSuite, but I think now would be a good time to see and make sure that we've got something going here. So we're going to go ahead and end the guide that we have available to us now. We'll just not show our end screen. We're going to use this end screen a little bit later, but I'm going to apply. It's going to refresh the current object we're on, and we're going to hit save. And now I'm going to show you something that's going to be pretty amazing. We're actually going to be able to make a change to a Salesforce account page layout without a Salesforce release. We're going to make a brand new process available that wasn't there before. Multiple steps and the ability to validate this account business zip. I'm going to publish. Now if I come back to this account page and give it a refresh, we're going to see our new financial request process become available here. There's the instructions. Use this guide to process all financial requests and inquiries. All right, well, let's give it a run. We get into the financial request process. Here's the little, beautiful little UI. A minimal and to the point. We are allowed to go ahead and update these fields, and this will actually update the account on the fly. There's no need to keep track of things in two places. We'll go ahead and say this guy's hot because he's calling. Now we'll ask him, sir, what's your verification zip? Now, it's easy to make mistakes, but we're going to have an audit trail with this guide. He says, I think it's 57234. Oh, well, there's our error message back. The validation zip does not match account zip. So let's, he's like, oh, that was my old information. So it's actually 46857. Now it's going to let us, hopefully, through this particular step, and it's going to load that embedded guide that we had discussed about selecting the contact. So here's the existing contacts that actually live on this account. I can scroll down here so you can see I'm not lying. Now, one thing that we can do, we can select, and if he says, all right, my name is Adam Adams, we can say, all right, Adam Adams, let's go ahead and walk you through a quick validation process to make sure we have the right information. Is this the information is correct? And he's like, oh yeah, I believe that that's correct. Here's my business phone and email. So with real-time validation, because this is already baked into the guide, we didn't have to spend a lot of time doing it for our business process. We get it for free by reusing this guide. You can see the email and phone validation that's starting to come into place. So both of these appear to be bad. Let's go ahead and correct this. Can use a familiar email address. And so, you can start to see with these guides, some of the power of real-time, API integration with user interfaces within Salesforce, without code. It's not going to let us through this page unless both validate, but it's letting us know how we're progressing. So if we can go in here, from this number, and both appear to be great. Hopefully. Oh, great. So now it took the address that we have and it ran it through some address standardization from Informatica address validation services. Here's the score that it returned. We got some geocoding. It even gave us a little map. So we're going to continue and say use a standardized address. So now we've got his contact all cleaned up. But that wasn't really the whole point of this process, right? We were just going to select that contact and then continue on and show him some additional information up to and including their real-time financial summary from NetSuite. We got to get some information from a database. So we're going to go ahead and finish building out this process here in real time. So the next step after we've gone ahead and selected the contact is we're going to make a service call. Right here within the guide, me as just an average everyday user, I'm going to drag some gears over here and say I'd like to make a service call to one of the web services I've configured a service connector for. In this case, it's actually going to be NetSuite. So we've got this service connector that we've labeled. We've broken it down into some business-friendly actions to make it easier for our business users to build these integrations. So if I go in here and I say, hey, I just want to go ahead and get, and I want to get customer. If I go to this information tab, it's going to tell me it just wants to get the NetSuite ID of the customer, and then it's going to return all this information, cold from the web service call back to me and allow me to use it as as part of this business process. So, you can see the company name, we can see balance, overdue balance. We're returning a set of fields that the business has asked for, but also returning, the entire response as an object just in case there's additional fields that we may need to get to later without, an entire redesign being required. But this one's going to be pretty straightforward. It wants a customer NetSuite ID. Well, where are we going to get the customer NetSuite ID? We're going to pull it from the account record. Remember, our account Fliptune Ultra has a field called NetSuite ID. We're going to set NetSuite ID from the account. I just need to type in here. Apply. So there's get customer. We'll call it what it is. Get customer from NetSuite. And we're going to just go ahead and call this one select and validate contact. This is just to make it clear in terms of our process. You can have nice friendly labels that people can follow up with later. So we're going to get the customer from NetSuite, and now that we've got this data, we're going to go ahead and drop a screen step in place so that we can show the financial data to the end user. So what do we want to be able to show the end user? Things like their balance, their overdue balance, day overdue. So let's just go ahead and type out a step here. And we'll say real-time financial data from NetSuite. We'll say we want to include what their current balance. We want to see the overdue balance, and then perhaps the days overdue. Oh yeah, so I'm just typing labels here. We're going to go in and we're going to actually add the data. Remember, all these fields were named and labeled coming out of here. NS customer balance, NS overdue balance. So if we come back here and I say insert a read-only field and go NS, it's going to limit these down. So here's balance. Let's see the NS customer overdue balance. Let's see the NS days overdue. So let's go ahead and clean this up just a little bit. Make it bold. Make it big. Drop in a little logo to make sure everybody knows where this stuff's coming from. I'll give it a nice little step called review financial data. We just say continue. We can also give them the ability to dig a little bit deeper. We have an embedded guide for financial data. We won't get too far into it, but let's go ahead and give the option here and say get NetSuite details. So you can see, as simple as giving the option here, as in the answers, you can actually give different paths within the software. So if we want to get the NetSuite details, we're just going to use another one of those embedded guides. It's going to be called the NetSuite Real-Time Financial Info. There's not a lot to it. We can apply, and then when it's done, we can just jump right back to where we were. Jump back to the review financial data. And then we carry on. So once we've reviewed the financial data, really we have, the most important thing a customer service rep can do create and close a case. So let's show you how simple it is to do that within the Informatica Cloud Real-Time Designer with our Salesforce integration. We can say, all right, here in this place I want to drag a create step. So I drop one of these plus signs for a create step, and it's going to be select an object type. We support any kind of Salesforce connection, multiple orgs. You can also, any JDBC type database, Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL. We actually have the ability to create records directly in there, very simply with a create step. So in this case, though, we want to have a Salesforce, and we're looking for a case. So it knows about everything in the Salesforce case, and so we can go ahead and begin in this input tab to begin assigning these values to the case. We've launched it from the account, so it knows that this is the account that we're going to be interacting with. Now, if we go ahead and say contact ID, we can assign it to the out-selected contact. That was from our embedded guide. So that's the the embedded guide we use tells us which contact we selected. We can go in here and set any number of values, like case origin, so we make sure that the rep doesn't need to remember to do this every time. There's also going to be a couple values that we're going to want to gather from the screen. Things like the subject, the description, perhaps the priority. So the way that you do that, you can predefine it here, or say that I want to grab it from the user just by saying the source for this field is going to be our screen. So this is going to come from the screen, this is going to come from the screen, this is going to come from the screen. The other field we want to assign is going to be the owner. We actually want to go ahead and just set that to whoever the current user of the guide is. They would get the hot potato. Now, when I hit apply there, and it warned me, it said one or more fields have been applied to the screen, but I haven't used them yet. So if I hit this input screen tab, it tells me what fields I wanted to collect from the end user. So we'll go ahead and say I want the subject, I want the description, I want a priority. Now we can go clean this up a little bit and say enter case details. And also, we can preset some values within these so that the rep can use the preset values but also edit them as the case may be. So for this subject, we're going to go ahead and just put in a couple fields. We're going to say the default value here is going to be phone case for, we'll automatically include the account name in there. And that's, that should be it. They can add more if they need to. The description, within the description, might as well have some information like, let's include the NetSuite customer overdue balance. So that information that we got back from NetSuite can actually just be plugged into the case description here to help, save everybody some time. So I'm going to be done there. There's the priority. Let's hit apply, hit save, and publish. And simple as that, without making any changes to the Salesforce side, this new version of our guide is going to go ahead and become available. Now, one thing before we run it, I actually want to make a small change. We're going to update our end step. We want it to take us to the case that we've created when it's done. So instead of refreshing the current object, I'm going to go ahead and say go to other object. And what object might you ask? The object we're going to go to is going to be the created case. This is a value that didn't exist before that case step, but now something that exists. When we do the create step, we can go to a created case and it will redirect us to that Salesforce ID that doesn't quite exist yet. So we'll apply this, save, and publish. Now from here, we'll go back to our account page. We'll do the refresh. Not really necessary in this case because it's going to be the same old financial request process guide, but behind the scenes it's new and improved. And so this is where we talk about the training component. We've just updated our process to include this NetSuite lookup without having to necessarily tell our users, and we'll see how easy it is for that to be incorporated into what they're doing. Remember step one, we got our verification zip, so we can get this right on the first time. Verification zip goes in there. You can see the account rating started off as hot because we updated it last time. There's our updated Adam Adams teacher information with a good phone and email. So let's select that. We'll skip the validation. I'll select this contact. Now it's not going to go through all those extra steps that we saw last time. It's going to go right to this financial data from NetSuite. There's our current balance. There's our overdue balance and days overdue. We're going to go right on to the case creation. So we're going to say enter case details. Here's the phone case for Fliptune. There's the overdue balance. They want to know why they owe us so much money. I'll go ahead and say that's a medium priority and hit continue. So as simple as that, using information from NetSuite, we've actually created this case within Salesforce. We've got this overdue balance information. It's linking back up to the customer and the contact, just as we had expected. If we want to take a look at the details, there's the subject and description. and then from there. So the last piece of the process, as we've promised, is including a quick reach out to a database. So in this particular scenario, we actually have a guide created that will run from the case object. If you come here, and if I go and say, take a look at my case objects, we can actually give the ability to run something independently from there or as part of what we're doing here, but I'm going to stop the demo.